The first is the story of women and medicine.
Your temperature's up a bit, love. You'll have to stay in bed a while longer. I'll give you a nice cool drink and a couple of paracetamol, and if you aren't better soon, I'll call the doctor.
Won't stop crying, eh? You buy him a Penafidil and he'll sleep like an angel.
I'll make a simple of powdered agramine. Do you give it him in boiled water, 3 pinches night and morn, and the stomachache will go in 3 days.
In the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church viewed the idea of women practicing as healers with great suspicion, and most universities were closed to women, so only men could train as doctors. The next clip is about a French woman, Jacoba de Felicie, who did practice medicine in Paris in the 14th century. In 1322, she was brought to trial for her pains.
Jacoba de Felicie, you are brought before this court by the Faculty of Medicine in Paris to answer the following charges. That you visited many severely ill people in Paris and examined them, and after this examination you said, "I will cure you by God's will if you will trust in me." Further, you received money from these patients and continued to treat them even though you have no qualifications from the Medical School of Paris.
Monsieur,
And despite having been previously fined and excommunicated for this offence, you have continued as before.
It was the time when it was very hot. I had this terrible sickness in my head and ears. Jacoba visited me. She took a lot of care and concern over me.
And did she treat you in any way?
She certainly did. She gave me different colored potions.
I'd had this fever. Terrible it was. And I'd had any number of doctors coming to try and cure me.
And then you were visited by Jacoba.
Yes, thank the Lord. The other doctors had given me up for dead.
I had been seized by an illness so severe that my own limbs could not support me. I was crippled. I tried water treatment at the public baths, and Jacoba visited me both there and in my home.
And was treatment prescribed?
Indeed. She gave me a purgative and prepared medicinal baths and ointments, just like the other doctors. Except this time, it worked.
Jacoba claims to be an expert in the art of medicine. This cannot be, since she is not approved by the faculty and has not studied at the School of Medicine. As to the people she claims to have cured, it is plain that any man could have cured them better than she. Monsieur, is it not true that unlicensed persons are forbidden from practicing the law?
Indeed.
Now, how much more important is it, then, that they should be forbidden from practicing medicine? A lawyer's mistake may lose the case. A doctor's mistake may lose a life.
But whatever the view of the authorities, most people could not afford to go to qualified practitioners and continued to rely on local healing women. These healers were mostly ordinary village women who knew about the properties of plants and herbs, not just for cooking, but for medicinal purposes too. They would be asked to treat illnesses, although they would sometimes be attacked as witches if they were not successful. Women continued to be excluded from respectable professional medicine right up until the last century, when some pioneering women began to batter at the doors of the male medical establishment.
Apart from writing and teaching, few jobs were open to middle-class women. Florence Nightingale had to fight for 7 years to become a nurse. But thanks to her, hospitals on the battlefield were revolutionized, and she became the nation's heroine. Great success, 1854. Beater, Elizabeth Garrett, had found a legal loophole to study medicine. She qualified, and the loophole was shut. In 1869, Elizabeth Blackwell, who had studied medicine in America and Europe, returned to Britain to take up practice as a doctor. In the very same year, this woman renewed the struggle for women to study medicine in Britain. Her name was Sophia Jex-Blake.
As you watch the next clip, make a list of factors which help break down barriers to women. Sophia and 5 other women managed to get into Edinburgh University, but they were kept apart from male students and not allowed to take a degree.
Their cause was taken up by one professor in particular, Professor Masson.
The separate classes impose great inconveniences on the women and on the professors. And I propose that in future, women desiring to study medicine be admitted to the medical classes on the same terms as the other students.
This caused an uproar.
I am sure the ladies now attending the university have come with the purest motives. But how will the gentlemen know if a prostitute comes to their classes?
Women are sexually, bodily, and mentally unfitted for the toil and responsibilities of medical practice. I know of no great discovery changing science that owes its existence to a woman. What right, then, have women to claim mental equality with men?
But in 1876, years after she had begun the campaign, Sophia finally triumphed in Britain. The government passed an act enabling medical schools to admit women, and some began to.
I believe that if a single woman desires to consult a physician of her own sex, and if one other woman desires to qualify herself to be that physician, no person whatever has the right to interfere with such legitimate desires.
Your list of factors may have included the campaigning of individuals, increasing access to education for women, government action, and changing social attitudes. Whichever you thought was most important, you should stress the way they interact with each other. For example, individual campaigns brought the issue to public attention. This helped to change social attitudes, and in response to this, government passed new laws.